I worshipped Chloe for 3 long years, and finally, I married her. At our wedding, she was radiant, 5 months pregnant, and glowing with excitement. But everyone there knew the child wasn't mine. To be the ultimate devotee is to willingly take on the burdens of another, and I had achieved it. A year later, on our anniversary, I asked for a divorce. She broke down, sobbing, demanding to know why. I gently set my ring on the table. The love has run its course, Chloe. Let's end this with some dignity. It took just 3 sentences for me to step into this role. A child can't be born without a father. Ethan, you told me you loved me. Please, help me. Wouldn't it be wonderful for the 3 of us to start a new life together? There she was, Chloe, the woman I idolized, her eyes glistening with tears, looking so fragile and beautiful as she pleaded with me. She was asking me to marry her. It was the ultimate test for any man. I took a deep, shuddering breath, my heart a tangled mess of emotions. The child wasn't mine. That was a fact known to everyone in our circle. Marrying her would permanently brand me as the man who cleaned up another's mess. Chloe's voice was a soft, persuasive whisper. Don't worry, if you're good to us, the baby will see you as a real father. This is an opportunity others could only dream of. I knew it was a profound humiliation. But what could I do? I was hopelessly in love with her. Suppressing a wave of triumphant emotion, I grasped her hand. All right, let's get married. Soon after, Chloe announced our upcoming wedding on all her social media. I understood her strategy. It was both a declaration and a direct challenge to Julian. She was screaming to the world that if he wouldn't take responsibility, someone else gladly would. My social feeds exploded. I've always been a well-liked guy, and many of my friends had long disapproved of my devotion to Chloe. They couldn't believe I would go this far. Some urged me to cut my losses. Others were heartbroken for me, and a few even said I'd lost my mind and offered to drag me to a temple for an exorcism. I brushed it all off with a smile. None of them knew how desperately I had longed for this day, for a wedding with Chloe, for the warmth of a home to call my own. At the ceremony, Chloe was the picture of a joyful bride, her 5-month belly proudly on display. She kept glancing towards the entrance, her eyes filled with anticipation. Finally, the figure she was waiting for appeared. Julian. A sudden silence fell over the hall. With a sigh, I ushered the 2 of them outside to talk. But before I could even steady myself, a voice dripped with contempt. Who the hell do you think you are, marrying Chloe? I narrowed my eyes at the man before me. Chloe's provocation had worked. Julian couldn't stay away. But just as we were about to clash, Chloe stepped between us. For a fleeting moment, I felt a surge of gratitude. Even if she didn't love me, she was still on my side. The next second, Julian's fist flew through the air. Chloe didn't stop him. Instead, she grabbed my arms, holding me tightly. A sickening thud echoed as his fist connected with my jaw. I tried to retaliate, but she held me fast, making it impossible to move. I froze, a cold realization dawning on me. I saw it then. The subtle, perfect positioning of her body. She wasn't breaking up a fight. She was shielding Julian from me. Seeing this, Julian's expression softened. He shot me a triumphant smirk before pulling Chloe aside, puffing out his chest like a victorious rooster. I didn't care about him. My eyes were fixed on Chloe. Her attitude was the only thing that had ever mattered. She never looked at me again. Through the half-drawn curtains of a side room, I saw their argument last only moments before their lips met. Their silhouettes intertwined, a painful, passionate dance that made my solitary figure seem all the more pathetic. So much for a new life. It was all a lie to get what she wanted. In that instant, whatever warmth I held for her turned to ice. I spoke softly, to no one but myself. System, release the reward. A calm, electronic voice responded in my mind. Host has completed the devotion point task. 10 billion in cash has been credited to your account. A year ago, I was bound to a peculiar system, the devotee system. It promised me a reward of 10 billion if I could accumulate 100 devotion points. The system chose me because, among all of Chloe's admirers, I was the most dedicated. I was there from the beginning, ready to do anything for her. When she fell for Julian, I became her wingman, helping her plan his surprises and even secretly buying him flowers in his name to apologize after their fights. At first, I ignored the system. My love for Chloe was genuine. I would have done anything to see her happy. But somewhere along the way, I grew weary. The constant neglect, the feeling of being trampled on day after day, it numbed me. There's no shame in loving someone, but when it's not returned, it becomes a tragedy. I knew I was just an ordinary guy without Julian's family fortune. It was time to exit their love story. So, I decided to play the game, to complete the system's task, and build a future for myself. But no matter what I did, my devotion score stalled at 80 points. It wouldn't budge. Then, Chloe asked me to marry her. It hit me like a bolt of lightning. What is the ultimate expression of devotion? To take on another man's child. It was the perfect final act. My joy wasn't feigned. I was genuinely thrilled. And just like that, the score clicked over to 100. The 10 billion was mine. I had a plan. If Chloe was willing to build a real life with me, the money would be ours. I would have given her anything she ever wanted. But if her heart remained with Julian, then it was time to set myself free. I glanced one last time at their embrace. Her actions told me everything I needed to know. Even as my wife, her heart would always belong to him. I wasn't surprised. I smoothed my expression, turned my back on them, and walked back into my wedding reception. The guests watched with a mixture of pity and confusion as I returned alone, but I saw the ceremony through to the end. On my wedding night, Chloe never came home. It didn't matter. My heart was calm. After all, when you gain 10 billion, you're bound to lose a few troubles. I tried to access the funds, but the system had a final requirement. Reward has been issued. Initial use requires verification of a legal marriage certificate. I let out a long breath. Just as I was about to call Chloe, the front door opened. She walked in, looking exhausted. "Get ready," she said, not meeting my eyes. "We're going to the registry office first thing in the morning." I blinked. Could it really be this easy? Just when I needed it most, the solution walked right through my door. Hearing Chloe mention a marriage certificate, a faint flicker of hope stirred within me. A wedding ceremony was one thing, but a legal marriage was something else entirely. Anyone would have felt a stir of emotion. But my rational mind quickly took over. I made a few calls. It turned out that Julian's family, upon learning that Chloe had spent her wedding night with their son, had become even more disgusted with her. Her biggest obstacle had always been their disapproval. When they found out she was pregnant, they had pressured her to terminate it, declaring they would never accept a child of questionable origin. Chloe couldn't bear the insult. To protect her child and force Julian's hand, she had staged the wedding with me. Julian's family, however, dismissed the ceremony and made it clear that only a legal marriage certificate held any weight. That was why she had rushed back, desperate to make our union official. Though my feelings for her had cooled, I couldn't help but feel a pang of pity seeing her so humbled. Taking a deep breath, I found a courage I never knew I possessed. I looked her straight in the eye. "Are you absolutely sure about this? Is getting this certificate just about proving a point to them?" Chloe's mood was foul. "Ethan, what are you trying to say?" "I'm saying, I can have a wedding with you, be the child's father in name. But when it comes to a legal document..." She cut me off, her eyes turning red. "What's wrong with it? They think I don't have the nerve to go through with it? Besides, divorces are simple these days. Ethan, this is the chance you've always wanted." I fell silent, a bitter smile touching my lips. My last question had been a gamble, betting my 10 billion against the slim chance she might see me. The result was clear. With Chloe, I could never win. I didn't argue further. We went and got the certificate. The moment we stepped out of the registry office, Chloe took a picture of the document and sent it to Julian, completely forgetting. I was standing right beside her. I had been about to say something, but seeing that, I just shook my head and walked away alone. It was clear a divorce would have to wait for the right moment. With 10 billion in my account, I could live a life of leisure, but I had a dream to chase. I found the address I had saved and made my way to Zoe's studio. It was a converted warehouse, unassuming from the outside. I knocked, and the door was opened by a girl with her hair casually tied in a bun. She froze when she saw me. "It's you?" I held up a bank card and smiled. "Zoe, as promised, I'm here." I had met Zoe at an offline gaming tournament. I never imagined that the legendary goddess Zoe, a titan in the gaming world, would be such a captivating young woman. To my surprise, our ragtag team of regional champions clicked instantly. Our synergy was flawless. It was only after we parted ways that I learned she had her own studio and was developing a new game. With a playful smile, she had asked me, "Don't you want to join us?" Honestly, I was tempted. Creating my own game had been a lifelong dream. At the time, I worked for a top-tier gaming company, a job Chloe dismissed as not a real career. A small and proven studio would have been even worse in her eyes. I desperately wanted her approval, so I turned Zoe down, but not without a promise. "When I have enough capital, I'll invest in your game." Zoe had gracefully accepted, giving me the studio's address. Come find me, if you still want to chase your dream. I had been following her progress. Game development burns through cash, and a friend told me Zoe's studio was struggling financially. So, with my new fortune, I went without hesitation. After her initial surprise, Zoe broke into a wide grin. I knew you'd come. Is the funding sufficient? I raised an eyebrow and handed her the card. Spend it however you want. Zoe turned and clapped her hands. Everyone gather round. Our new investor is here. Cheers erupted from inside the studio. Who is it? Let me see. Whoa, it's not Genesis, is it? Since when did you get so rich? Quick, the seat of honor for our great investor. The room was filled with vibrant young people, their faces beaming with genuine excitement. As they welcomed me with open arms, I felt the first truly sincere smile of the day spread across my face. I took a position at Zoe's studio. The work was similar to my old job, just far more intense. The new game, titled Dawn, was in its final development stages, nearing its closed beta launch. It was nearly dawn when I finally got home. I opened the door and was surprised to see the lights on. A faint, sweet aroma hung in the air. I walked in to find Chloe curled up on the rug by the sofa, surrounded by empty juice bottles. Apparently, she'd forgotten she was pregnant. Her cheeks were flushed, and her eyes were puffy from crying. Before I could say a word, she threw herself into my arms. Ethan, why would he do this to me? Looking at the mess she was in, I could only sigh. I wondered the same thing, but some questions in this world have no answers. I fetched a warm towel to clean her face and helped her to bed. She just stared at me, her gaze filled with an unreadable emotion. The old me would have used this moment to comfort her, to tell her to leave Julian and confess my love once more. But today I said nothing. I just walked into my study to finish up some work. I lost track of time, and when I looked up, the sun was rising. I rushed to get ready for the studio, but as I passed the dining table, I saw a bowl of porridge waiting for me. I must have been seeing things. It was just Chloe and me in the house. Who else could it be? She had made me food? I shook the ridiculous thought from my head and hurried out the door, too late to eat. Around noon, I was finally getting around to cleaning my shirt after an unfortunate coffee spill. My phone rang, and since my hands were busy, I asked Zoe to answer it. He's washing his clothes, I heard her say. Then, the line went dead. Zoe, who knew my situation, gave me a sly wink. Should I not have said that? I shook my head. It's fine. I was just surprised Chloe had called at all. It was always me calling her. I could count the times she'd called me on one hand. Someone from the team called me over. Ethan, come check this debugging sequence. Work came first, and I was immediately pulled back in. What I never expected was for Chloe to show up at the studio. When she walked in, Zoe and I were huddled close together, reviewing a visual effect on a monitor. Ethan, what are you doing? Her furious shout made me look up. There she stood, a few feet away, her face a mask of anger. The young developers in the studio loved gossip, and my situation was a mystery they were all dying to solve. I felt dozens of eyes on me and sighed. I led Chloe to a break room, but she wrenched her arm away. What is the meaning of this, Ethan? You didn't touch the porridge I made. You quit your good job without a word to run off to this dump, and now this? What is your relationship with that vixen? Her barrage of questions left me breathless. Was this some kind of tantrum? I rubbed my temples. I was in a hurry this morning, and they need me here. And Zoe is not a vixen. She's my partner. I'd appreciate it if you showed her some respect. Chloe's lips thinned into a hard line. What kind of future can you possibly have in a place like this? Are you concerned about my future? I asked calmly. I thought this was all just not a real career to you. She flinched, then glared. I just need to make sure you have enough money to support me and our child. Can this pathetic studio even pay you a salary? Of course. It was never about me, only the money. I had stopped expecting anything different from her. I gave a bitter laugh. Don't worry, I can afford to support you. I'm warning you, you should go back to your old job. It might have been not a real career, but at least it was stable. You shouldn't be wasting your time working for some pretty face. As she spoke, she shot a pointed glance towards Zoe. My smile vanished. Chloe, I said, my voice firm. I was willing to do anything for you in the past because I chose to. That doesn't give you the right to insult my friends. And one more thing. I don't interfere when you go running to Julian, so don't you dare interfere with my career choices. We parted on bad terms, the first time I had ever openly expressed my displeasure with her. I knew why she'd come. Today was payday at my old company. She was worried I wouldn't transfer her the money. I pulled out my phone and sent her the usual amount, the equivalent of my old salary. She had been Julian's secretary before his family had her fired after she got pregnant. To maintain her image as an independent woman and save face with Julian, she refused to take his money. She had grown accustomed to living on mine. I chuckled grimly. So that's what the bowl of porridge was about. I took a deep breath. The last wisp of affection I had for Chloe dissipated. All these years felt like a joke. I had thought I was the hero of a novel, destined to overcome all odds to be with the heroine. Reality had shown me I was just a side character, fated to return to my own path no matter how hard I tried. Still, we were husband and wife. I would fulfill my obligations. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Zoe's studio was set to debut at a major gaming expo, a huge event designed to showcase new games and attract investors. Our game, Dawn, would be unveiled, and the public beta would go live. After months of tireless work, the moment of truth had arrived, and the air was thick with nervous energy. To my surprise, Julian was also there, with Chloe at his side. She wore a flowing dress that skillfully concealed her pregnancy. It seemed they were back together again. I was too busy with our launch to pay them any mind, but Julian, ever the antagonist, brought Chloe directly to our booth. He scanned our setup with a disdainful, arrogant air. So this is the little workshop you've holed yourself up in. No wonder you chased Chloe for years and got nowhere. A man needs to have either money or talent. I raised an eyebrow. Julian, I helped you out of a jam. A thank you isn't necessary, but why do you insist on bothering me? For all your supposed talent, have you managed to sort out your own family affairs? This studio may be small, but at least I'm my own boss. His inability to stand up to his family was his greatest weakness. His face flushed with anger. I remained calm, meeting his gaze. We could have stayed out of each other's way. Please, leave us alone. But Chloe couldn't resist jumping in. How can you speak to Julian like that? Was he wrong? What can you possibly achieve being so stubborn? Julian sneered. A gaming exhibition? Your booth is pathetic. No one's even stopped by. I bet your studio will go bankrupt the second this game goes live. His loud pronouncements drew a crowd. The Lu Corporation was a big name, and Julian's presence carried weight. People started murmuring, casting doubtful glances at our game. Dawn wasn't just my project. It was the culmination of our entire team's blood, sweat, and tears. No one deserved to have their hard work denigrated like this. Rage simmered inside me. But in the next second, an arm was slung around my neck. Hey everyone, remember this guy? Zoe pulled me in close, positioning us in front of a camera. Behind her, a team member was holding a phone, a live stream clearly already in progress. This was our plan: use a live broadcast to generate buzz and drive players to the beta launch. Our victory at that tournament years ago had made us minor legends in the community. Besides running the studio, Zoe had been streaming for years to keep the lights on. I glanced at the comments scrolling rapidly across the screen. Is this the mystery guest Zoe teased yesterday? Oh my god, it's Genesis. What? Genesis? My favorite duo is back together. Wait, isn't this the gaming expo? I see it. The Dawn booth. Are Zoe and Genesis teaming up to promote a new game? Zoe smiled and released me. That's right. We're here to promote the game we developed together. The chat exploded with cheers as people rushed to the website to download the game. Then, Zoe shot me a mischievous look. She gestured to a team member, who handed her a broom. In 5 minutes, our game officially goes into open beta. But first, a little ceremony to mark the occasion. I couldn't help but laugh. I knew exactly what she was about to do. Time to sweep away the bad luck and welcome the good fortune, she declared. With a theatrical flourish, she began sweeping the broom directly at Julian and Chloe. I heard Chloe shriek and cling to Julian's arm as he stumbled backward. He moved fast, but not before a layer of dust settled on his expensive leather shoes. No one expected the famously cool and collected goddess Zoe to pull a stunt like this. Both the live stream and the expo floor erupted. Someone in the live chat explained. Those two were disrespecting Genesis. Zoe is defending him. OMG, my favorite duo is even better in real life. In a quiet corner of the internet, the buzz around Dawn was starting to build. I gave Zoe a thumbs up, and she returned it. Then I turned to face the livid Julian. He pointed a shaking finger at me. With me here, let's see who dares to invest in this joke of a game. The onlookers exchanged glances and fell silent. Even those who had shown interest moments before began to hesitate. After all, we weren't unknown studio with an unproven first product. In front of them stood the heir to the mighty Lu Corporation. The choice seemed obvious. Soon, an invisible barrier formed around our booth. No one dared to approach. Julian watched this unfold with a smug satisfaction. He had someone bring a sofa and place it right in front of our booth's main screen, where he sat down leisurely. I'm going to sit right here today and watch your studio crash and burn on its launch day. Chloe didn't join him. Instead, she came over to me. Ethan, don't lower yourself to his level. Just apologize, and I'll ask him to forgive you. I looked at her. She appeared anxious, as if she were genuinely concerned for me. But I knew her too well. Her eyes were gleaming with self-satisfaction and a desire to perform. In this public setting, she was Julian's sole companion. If she could be the one to calm the furious young master, who wouldn't be impressed? Perhaps even the Liu family would see her in a new light. But her plan to use me as a stepping stone was doomed to fail. A slow smile spread across my face. Chloe, if you're so concerned about me, why don't you try persuading Julian? Or do you only pick on the easy targets? The expression on her face froze, a comical mask of shock. I didn't spare them another glance. It was time. The beta was about to go live. As I returned to the booth, Zoe turned to me. Are we sure about this? No cap. I nodded. No cap. Julian thought that by cutting off our potential funding, he could strangle us. He had no idea I had a $10 billion war chest ready to deploy. Even with Zoe's most extravagant plans, the money was more than enough. Today, 5 new games were launching, their live player data displayed on the expo's massive screens. The other 4 were backed by major corporations with huge marketing budgets and established channels. As soon as they went live, their player counts shot up. Our only promotion was a single, impromptu live stream. Consequently, our player count started at the very bottom, laughably far behind the others. Julian gloated. See? What kind of decent game can come from a tiny workshop? They're completely out of their depth. A murmur of agreement went through the crowd. They should just shut it down now, save themselves the public embarrassment. Amid the noise, our team remained focused, working with quiet efficiency. Suddenly, an excited voice cut through the din. We're trending. We're number 1 on the hot search. The online buzz had finally caught up. The live stream of Zoe and me had gone viral. While not everyone was a gamer, our past exploits had earned us a legion of loyal fans. Did you buy that placement? I asked our marketing lead. He shook his head, looking overwhelmed. Our marketing budget is tiny. We barely spend anything. Zoe seized the moment, reposting the link to Dawn from her official account. Our player numbers immediately began to climb at a staggering rate. At the same time, the other 4 games all plateaued. Their servers had hit their maximum capacity. Watching our numbers rise, Julian's face began to darken. Humph. So what if you bought a trending topic? You still can't beat the competition. Zoe and I exchanged a relieved smile. Slowly but surely, the number of players in Dawn approached the peak numbers of the other games. I walked out of the booth and stood before Julian, looking down at him. There will only be one winner at the expo today. He snorted. And it won't be you. Don't think I'm an idiot. Every server has a limit. It's impossible for you to surpass them. As if on cue, the data for Dawn surged past all 4 other games. And it kept climbing at an exponential rate. The entire hall fell silent. Julian shot to his feet, staring at the screen in utter disbelief. New topics began to flood the trending lists. Dawn's servers have no limit. Play without interruption. 50 million in cash and gear giveaways. Just log in to win. It was true. We hadn't spent much on traditional marketing. Our capital went into development, buying massive server capacity and funding the biggest giveaway in gaming history. The initial small push on social media was all it took. The massive prize pool did the rest, creating a viral explosion. Whether it was old fans feeling nostalgic, new players drawn by the hype, or people just hoping to win, the number of players online for Dawn skyrocketed, leaving every other game in the dust. Julian's face was ashen. He turned and stared at me. Unlimited servers? Are you insane? Where did you get that kind of money? I crossed my arms, a calm smile on my face. When it came to making this game, the 2 things we weren't short on were passion and capital. He glared, speechless. Chloe tried to take his arm, but he violently shook her off. The investors who had hesitated before now wore expressions of deep regret. They swarmed our booth. Are you still accepting investments? I knew you guys had it. I was just too slow. Hey, get out of the way. Julian was quickly swallowed by the crowd and pushed to the periphery. His face contorted with anger. He yelled, It's just a temporary fad. Are you all that short-sighted? But no one was listening to him anymore. No matter how powerful Julian was, no one turns their back on a mountain of money. His outburst only proved how little he understood the industry. Attracting players is one thing, but keeping them is what matters. On a small corner of the big screen was another metric, player retention rate. The retention rate for Dawn was holding steady at an incredibly high number. That was the real reason the investors were fighting to get in. Zoe and I high-fived, our faces lit with pure joy. There's no feeling like seeing your hard work pay off. It struck me then how intoxicating this feeling of success and self-worth was. To think that just a month ago, my entire world revolved around Chloe's moods. The old me seemed so foolish. I should have stepped out into the wider world long ago. Suddenly, I felt a pair of eyes fixed on me. I looked through the crowd and saw Chloe standing on the outside, watching. Her gaze was a complex mix of emotions I couldn't decipher, something akin to a plea. I held her gaze for a moment, then calmly looked away. Chloe could no longer stir a single ripple in my heart. That night, the team and I celebrated with a huge dinner. The mood was ecstatic. Just as I was about to drive everyone home, a new topic shot to the top of the trending list. Shocking, the dark secrets behind the game Dawn. I clicked on it, and my blood ran cold. It was a vicious, explosive article. Goddess Zoe is having an affair with a married investor, a rumored old flame. The investor's wife is currently pregnant, yet Zoe shamelessly flaunts their relationship and even publicly assaulted the wife. Truly despicable. The cheerful chatter in the private dining room died instantly. I looked at Zoe. Her face was flushed from the wine, making her look endearingly flustered, but her expression was anything but. It was unnervingly calm. A $10 billion game, she said with a cold laugh. Looks like we're getting in the way of a lot of people's profits. She then looked at me, a hint of concern in her eyes. Technically, you're my biggest boss, so I shouldn't pry, but your business with those too. I smiled and gently patted her head. Don't worry, I'll handle this. Our marketing team quickly traced the source of the smear campaign. Unsurprisingly, it led back to a media company that worked closely with the Lu Corporation. The mastermind was obvious. If they were going to play dirty, so would I. My and Zoe's social media accounts were at the peak of their popularity. It was time to add some fuel to the fire. I wrote a long, detailed post. I told the entire story of my relationship with Chloe and Julian, complete with audio recordings, photos, and videos. I didn't care if people called me a fool for taking her on. I had gained something tangible from it. A few insults wouldn't hurt me, but the absurd, twisted reality of Chloe and Julian's relationship was a story that would truly shatter people's perceptions. The internet erupted. My old friends, the ones who hated seeing me play the devotee, all came forward to corroborate my story. The public backlash was immediate and overwhelming. The Lu Corporation's stock plummeted. Their PR team was powerless to stop the bleeding. Facing immense pressure from their shareholders, the company forced Julian to make a public statement. He appeared on video, pale and drawn, admitting to everything and announcing his resignation from all positions within the corporation. But it was far too late. I heard from a friend that Chloe had been thrown out by the Lu family and had fallen during the confrontation. She was in the hospital, her condition unknown. Soon after, the hospital called me, informing me that her bill was unpaid. I drove over, paid for everything, and left without seeing her. A few days later, Chloe called. She wanted to see me. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to go. The hospital air was thick with the scent of antiseptic. When I pushed open the door to her room, I found her staring intently at her own hand. At first I was confused, but then I saw it. The ring. It was the wedding ring I had chosen for her. She had never worn it, always keeping it tucked away in her purse. But today, it was on her finger. She sensed my presence and slowly looked up. I was struck by how frail and gaunt she looked. "Ethan," she whispered, her other hand resting on her flat stomach. Tears began to well in her eyes. I regret it. It was then I realized her belly was gone. The baby. I sighed. Did Julian just abandon you? The moment his name left my lips, her quiet tears turned into wrenching sobs. I regret everything. I regret taking your love for granted, for being so selfish. Ethan, I know I was wrong. Can you forgive me? I'll be a good wife from now on. I'll learn to love you. Please, can you take me back? I watched her quietly, saying nothing for a long time. I saw the hope in her eyes slowly curdle into despair. Chloe, I finally said, my voice gentle but firm. If you had said these words to me at our wedding, I would have said yes in a heartbeat. I truly did love you, but it's too late. The only power you ever had over me was my love for you. Now that it's gone, your words are meaningless. Take care of yourself. With that, I turned and walked out of the room, not looking back. Behind me, I could hear the sound of her heartbreaking cries. Dawn became a legend in the gaming world, shattering records and becoming a cultural phenomenon. As the game's popularity soared, so did the reputation of Zoe's studio. As the primary investor, my initial 10 billion had multiplied several times over. But more importantly, I had found my purpose. I was chasing my dream, building something real, and my happiness was no longer in someone else's hands to be crushed. Time flew by. A year to the day we were married. On our anniversary, I presented Chloe with the divorce papers. She lost control, sobbing, demanding to know why. I gently set my wedding ring on the table between us. The love has run its course, Chloe. Let's end this with some dignity. The light in her eyes extinguished, replaced by a hollow grayness I had never seen before. I never saw Chloe again after that day. No one ever mentioned her name to me. The past felt like a long nightmare from which I had finally awoken. Zoe and I began work on a brand new game, an idea I had conceived of many years ago. This one would be entirely mine, a game born from my own vision. We were filled with an electric energy, the same passion we felt when we won that tournament all those years ago. We were young, and we would be forever passionate.